This is something you won't believe. Cameron's legal team just brought a shovel and continued to dig just when you thought the Chrissy pregnancy scandal had reached its lowest point. Because as of right now, Cameron's attorney entered the courtroom with a sealed manila folder and left with Chrissy's entire lie in flames, amid more drama than a whole season of Love and hip-hop. There was a forensic report in that folder, so not only did it demonstrate that Chrissy's pregnancy was fraudulent, but it was also extremely detailed and damaging. It revealed how the deception was planned, financed, and presented like a Netflix special. Forged OBGYN and fake receipts records, a sonogram that was released and linked to a Google stock photo, and even commercial arrangements that offered benefits for each week she continued the lie. Jim Jones appeared to have seen a ghost when it struck the courthouse floor. Is this the truth Cam has been sitting on since the beginning? Or is it his retaliation? Why does VH1 not speak? What is the true depth of this rabbit hole? As a result of this is more than a controversy. It's a legitimate takeover. And you know what? The attorneys are not finished. They are simply warming up. Up a sealed folder was the beginning of it all. Bradley Elmsworth, Cameron's powerful lawyer, had a simple manila packet tucked under his arm. An individual referred to as the Fixer in New York legal circles. Impossibly composed, wearing an expensive suit, and grinning as if he knew he was going to destroy someone's day. Everyone was aware that something was wrong by the time he entered the courtroom. All weekend long, rumors had been circulating. A blind item was dropped by TMZ. A planned response was alluded at in the blogs. The courtroom was now filled, not just with legal observers, but also with influencers, former reality stars, gossip columnists, and even a few Love and Hip Hop Season 1 cast members who were hiding in the back row while wearing hoodies. Then it took place. The gavel was thumped by Judge Matt. Ellsworth got up and gave the envelope to the recipient with the nonchalant assurance of a man carrying a bomb with the pin pulled. "This report outlines in full the false information," he stated to Your Honor. "We request that the court accept Ms. Lampkin's pregnancy claims as acceptable proof of deliberate deception." The courtroom froze in an instant. Chrissy's attorney winced. Sitting behind his team, Jim Jones remained still. He was simply looked straight ahead, his jaw clenched as if he were about to hit someone or go. There is no middle ground. The file was opened by the judge. Internal timelines, doctored emails, and page after page of forensic-level details links, metadata from Chrissy's Instagram stories, and worst of all, a thorough analysis of a phony medical record purporting to demonstrate an unrealized pregnancy. The report made it apparent that the paper came from a template generator website that is utilized for practical jokes. In the state of New York, there isn't a legitimate clinic with such name. The emails between Chrissy, VH1 producers, and PR firms followed. Lines such as, "Please make sure Chrissy receives maternity-friendly products for brand placement. Have her avoid alcohol. We'll push the pregnancy storyline after episode 3 for emotional engagement." The courtroom audience gasped. "On camera but not off. We can cut around it." "This is bigger than Chrissy," a woman muttered. Because it was. There was more to this than a deception. It has to do with a conspiracy within the industry. Cameron's attorney wasn't finished. He turned to the financials section. Chrissy signed almost $240,000 worth of brand deals while feigning pregnancy. Maternity clothing, baby-safe skincare products, and pregnancy vitamins, all without ever getting pregnant. The worst part was that one of the receipts revealed a wire transfer from Cameron's company to a media agency that had been collaborating with Chrissy behind Jim's back. The message that was attached said, "Keep her relevant." It was like a blow to the face. Since it wasn't only Chrissy, despite being involved, Cameron was not present in court. But Jim was. And as Elmsworth read that line out loud, Jim winced, not in anger, but as if he had just been stabbed in the stomach. Chrissy, stone-faced. She glanced down, but her fingers shook, gripping a tissue as if it owed her rent. What about the media? Yes, they had a great time. The first headlines appeared on Twitter minutes after the courtroom recess. Chrissy receives a 22-page bogus baby bombshell from Cameron's attorney. Jim Jones observes, as Chrissy's falsehoods burn in court, they remain silent. Global trends include fake pregnancy files, However, even the media was unaware of one item. Cameron had been preparing for this exposure for some months. Sources close to the case claim that Cam stored the evidence in his vault as he awaited the ideal opportunity. Additionally, Chrissy attempted to portray him as the manipulator in her unsuccessful legal battle. Cam made the decision to stop defending weeks ago, so he summoned Elmsworth, the housekeeper. A tech billionaire was once saved from a RICO situation by the same individual, and the rest is history. This is when things become considerably messier. The report named names, not just Chrissy. One of the two VH1 producers who were directly mentioned had previously secretly left a few days before the report's public release. According to the emails, Chrissy was purportedly taught how to pretend to have symptoms, steer clear of walking too quickly on camera. As you talk about the future, touch your stomach. Talk about baby names informally, but never provide evidence. The most incriminating of all was a screenshot of an internal correspondence sent to the showrunner by a VH1 producer. It's gold, this false baby arc. Keep Jim on the lookout for confrontation. For episode 5, make her cry. Give that some thought. They didn't. Just be aware that they planned it. Additionally, when the court reopened, Chrissy's attorney requested that the report be struck as inadmissible and slanderous after recess. The judge chuckled. I've had enough. This report will remain. I actually want a federal review. Everything changed at that point. Altered not only Chrissy, but also Jim, VH1, and the entire cast. Any individual who has ever signed a non-disclosure agreement. The public lost it as cameras continued to record the mayhem outside the courtroom. Signs were held by protesters. Brands began to decline. Chrissy's name from joint ventures. Cast members from the past wrote comments like, "Told y'all that pregnant was manufactured." Everyone else was playing checkers, and Cam was playing chess. Jim, bro, she truly lied to you like that. And the pressure it maintained rising. At the conclusion of the day, VH1 issued an ambiguous statement. All internal communications are presently being examined. Right now, we stand by our team and actors. Translation: they were in a tight spot. Here's something nobody anticipated, though. As the court session came to a conclusion and Chrissy was led out by attorneys, for the first time, Jim Jones took a public stand. The room froze as he continued. I don't know who I'm more ashamed of, her or myself. No shouting, no stillness, no drama. Because there was the sound of a guy who had been played for years breaking at last. Once more, the courtroom was packed, but this time the atmosphere was not one of shock. It was fear. Beside her legal team, Chrissy sat calmly in the front row. There were no eye-catching hair flips or fashionable sunglasses on her face, just a drab, eerie expression that stated just one thing. This was the end, she knew. Because the judge had received one last piece of evidence just minutes before the session started. A fresh video, which altered the whole story in addition to exposing Chrissy. A poorly lit hotel room was depicted in the video that was allegedly leaked by a former VH1 editor. Chrissy took a seat on the bed's edge. With a phone in his hand, Cameron stood across from her. They weren't fighting. They had plans. Serene, cool, and strategic. He'll believe it. All I have to do is cry, Chrissy was heard saying. Just don't slip, Cam retorted. That one sentence, I'll handle the rest, sent the entire courtroom into disarray. Cameron had already asserted his innocence via his lawyer's team, was no longer merely a whistleblower, but maybe an architect of the fraud. Everything was stopped by the court. He insisted that both legal teams come to the bench. A few nervous minutes later, he placed an order for an prompt continuation of the inquiry. Cameron has been formally added to the list of parties under investigation this time. Chrissy's jaw dropped. She went to her attorney. She muttered, he said he'd protect me. Loud enough for the microphone to pick it up. Protect me. Loud enough for the microphone to pick it up. However, nobody was now defending anyone. Subpoenas were sent to VH1 producers even before the session was over. The cyber team at Homeland Security had previously identified internal records demonstrating years of narrative manipulation involving not only Chrissy, but several cast members during the previous 3 seasons. According to one study, VH1's internal rating strategy guides identified fictitious medical drama arcs as seasonal performance boosters. Chrissy's pregnancy was one of those. Mendeschi's claims of rehabilitation included fabricated therapy parts intended to provoke emotional distress. This was no longer merely a production scandal. It was becoming a federal removal. Chrissy was clearly shaking as she stood for the judge's last words. The judge lifted his hand as her attorney tried to protect her from the media. "Turn on the cameras. There is nothing to conceal from this court." Then the decision was made. Chrissy Lampkin was formally accused with 3 felonies: deliberate distortion of medical conditions, deliberate fraud for financial gain, and obstruction of production ethics. Her bond was taken away. She was arrested right away. The courtroom let out a gasp. A few folks applauded, others simply sat in startled silence. However, what came next? Nobody anticipated it. Jim Jones got up as Chrissy was led out in handcuffs. He had been silent all day, but suddenly he addressed the judge directly and spoke intelligibly. "I want to speak to the court. The magistrate permitted it." Jim took a step forward, his voice cold but steady. "I trusted her. I had faith in her. I provided her almost 20 years of my life, and she made an episode out of it. So no, it's not just about me. This is about all those who believed." When they saw us on film, love was genuine. He faced the cameras. It wasn't. It was the price tag, and it was scripted, purchased, and sold. After that, he left. No breakdown, no tears. Just the sound of a guy letting go at last. The media flocked outside. Reporters yelled over one another. "Reality is not reality and fire, VH1" was screamed by protesters outside, but the real heat was coming from within the industry. 2 significant C advertisers stopped sponsoring the network right away. Suddenly, a streaming agreement to bring all previous seasons of Love and Hip Hop to Netflix was apparently in the works. Endless pause. Members of the cast started removing all VH1 tags from their Instagram sites, as did Cameron, the one person everyone was eager to hear from. He published a late-night Just One Instagram story. White letters on a black screen? "I didn't claim to be innocent. I just stated that I would not be the one who continued to tell lies." That was all. Just enough smoke to ignite another fire. No denial, no explanation. Reports surfaced the following day that an executive assistant from VH1's executive suite had come forward as a new witness, who asserted that there were other tapes, entire conversations, staff emails, season ideas based entirely on fabrications, and worse, that at least 2 former cast members are apparently preparing to pursue a class action lawsuit against the network, alleging coerced narrative, dangerous filming conditions, and emotional manipulation, involvement. The dominoes were tumbling quickly. Within 48 hours, Chrissy's mugshot was leaked. The sharp flash of reality without any cosmetics, filters, or captions. Jim Jones removed all of Chrissy's posts from his social media accounts in the interim. Even the engagement pictures are no longer there. Similar to the traditional tale. Later, he was seen meeting with a documentary crew in Los Angeles. He is currently negotiating a multi-part tell-all deal that might make him the first member of the Dipset, according to sources. Member to transform suffering into meaning. This time there are no cameras, no scripts, and no lies. Regarding VH1, the quiet is overwhelming. Since the decision, accounts have not posted. Chrissy was subtly deleted from all landing pages on their website. There are rumors of mass resignations within. Additionally, an insider claims that federal. Since there was more than one plot thread, agents are going over the contracts that each member of the cast signed 5 years ago. It was a machine constructed on lies, driven by suffering and shown for amusement. It's collapsing now. Even though this chapter is coming to an end, the story is far from finished because another name was just mentioned in the courthouse's corridors. Someone who is even nearer the center. Someone who witnessed everything. And everything burns if they speak. In every timeline, the morning following Chrissy's formal booking felt like an earthquake. Her mugshot had previously been Mead. The algorithm was overflowing with TikTok tweaks, and Chrissy Lampkin had become a virtual fire on Twitter. There was no backdrop, no glam squad, just a broken woman sitting in harsh fluorescent lighting, smudged mascara, and, at last, reality is setting in. However, the true aftershocks were just getting started inside the courthouse, because nobody anticipated what would happen when the judge reconvened that Friday morning. Next, on the court docket, a new name emerged. Wallace Chenise, not a producer or a star, but a former executive assistant who collaborated closely with Chrissy and the VH1 showrunners for almost 2 years. She had voicemails, printed emails, cloud access, actual receipts, and even a deleted audio tape from a private meeting where Chrissy was reportedly tutored by producers. Through her pregnancy in return for more screen time and a collaboration with an off-book brand. As Chenise testified, the court became silent. She talked about producers texting Chrissy in real time while scenes were being reshot, interviews, as well as one particular instance in which a stagehand brought a prop ultrasound to a rented set that resembled a clinic. Chenise stated Chrissy was anxious. She inquired. Everyone just chuckled when I said, "Do I touch my belly now or wait until they ask?" The judge didn't. His face flushed. After slamming his gavel, he did something that no one anticipated. He demanded that the contract structure of VH1 be immediately reviewed by the courts under government supervision. Yes, it is correct. VH1 is now still being investigated. But don't worry, Chenise didn't end with Chrissy. She gave Cameron a direct name, claimed to have listened in on several pre-production calls, stated that he gave his approval for Jim Jones to be the target of a false narrative, claimed that when Cam sensed that public opinion was swinging in favor of Jim, he even encouraged Chrissy to continue the deception. Chenise noted from her email record that Cam had stated, "If they start feeling sorry for Jimmy, we lose. Tell her to cry and make her cry once again." The courtroom let out a gasp. Chrissy simply shook her head while sitting in prison with her hands chained. Silent destruction. No words. Jim Jones wasn't there. Since his mic drop incident the week before, he had not appeared. However, rumors circulated that he was capturing behind-the-scenes material for a documentary series regarding his public humiliation, the pregnancy controversy, and the betrayal. Unscripted, the Jim Jones files are independently produced, entirely off VH1, and have already had bids from Netflix, Amazon, and even Hulu. Cameron's team, however, released a feeble counter-argument. Any discussions Mr. Giles had in favor of Ms. Lannon's plot were based solely on the idea that it was creative fiction rather than fraud. The general populace didn't accept it. The comment sections were overflowing. So you unintentionally contributed to a baby lie? Fiction with a creative bent? Someone's life was involved. Hey, buddy. For the sake of views, you were writing heartbreak. Fans of Dipset were divided. Cam would never, according to old heads, fans of the new generation claiming that he got snake energy all the time. However, everyone was connected by one thing: the disdain for the machine that enabled it all, VH1. Because the skeletons inside the studio were eventually revealed to the public behind the flash and glam, influencer drops, and phony therapy scenes, everything collapsed during the course of the following 48 hours. The Department of Justice launched an official inquiry into VH1's use of emotional trauma manipulation in unscripted programming. 2 advertisers severed relations, and 3 producers resigned. Emails were confiscated. They remembered old footage. Reunion specials were removed from streaming as well. Chrissy was also formally transferred from county detention to state custody while her fraud case is being tried. Her attorney made one final attempt at public relations. Ms. Lampkin had no intention of deliberately mislead the people. She is a lady who did what she believed was necessary to thrive after being cornered by industry expectations. However, it was too late. A whole chronology had emerged. Every date, every fictitious test, every camera rip created to keep viewers interested. Chrissy was not going to make it. Chrissy was not going to make it. She was writing scripts. She wasn't by herself either. Because the court read aloud an official sealed affidavit filed anonymously just before the session ended, which documents later verified to be provided by a lawyer in Los Angeles on behalf of a different Dipset member. The revelation: it's possible that Cameron did more than just assist in staging the pregnancy. He might have 2 years ago, as part of a planned loyalty poll campaign, they staged a whole proposal plot for Chrissy. It had nothing to do with love. It was about locking Jim, according to the affidavit, ensuring he was unable to leave while the plot unfolded. That is a nuclear twist. because we were now discussing more than just lying about a baby. We were discussing how to control a man into a pledge based on power struggles and industry pressure. It was created feeling, scripted love, and a false ring to bolster a fictitious pregnancy storyline. The audience was incensed. Even Chrissy's former admirers changed their minds. It went beyond simple treachery. Performance warfare was what this was. To maintain a man who no longer wanted the cameras, she lied to everyone. Jim genuinely adored her. She cherished what he brought with him. As Chrissy's formal trial date draws closer, the entire reputation is in critical condition. No industry pals speaking up, no brand endorsements. None of the Love and Hip Hop cast members have commented, not even the ones who once supported her. Each season, now she's by herself, and VH1's still chilly and silent. Once renowned for creating legends, the network is currently engulfed in legal actions, criminal investigations, and destroyed credibility. Chrissy will continue to be detained without bond, the judge formally decided. In fewer than 30 days, the trial will start. There are rumors that Cameron will be forced to give an oath testimony. He will also fall if he does and folds. Since this isn't reality TV, the empire they established is also based on treachery. No longer. It is genuine. And someone is going to jail. The truth is now known. The staged proposal, the phony pregnancy, we all believed in the story of love. Nothing more than an illusion prepared for transmission that was created, manufactured, and performed for viewers. Chrissy was more than just Jim. We were all played by her. Additionally, Cam wasn't the victim. He was a co-director. This was more than two lovers betraying one another. This was a business plan based on falsehoods, sealed with a meaningless ring and an imaginary child. What should we name this then? A breakdown? A scandal? Or the last episode of a reality show that never existed in the first place? And more importantly, did anyone else know? Because how many more false narratives have we accepted as fact if Chrissy staged a pregnancy, Cam assisted in writing the falsehood, and VH1 used heartbreak as a plot point to increase viewership? Leave a comment with your ideas. Was Jim an idiot, or was he the only genuine person left in an actor-filled world? Similar to, if you're still in shock, watch this video. Get the next drop by subscribing because another significant Love and Hip is being heard. Hopstar recently received subpoenaed. Additionally, this time it's not about pretend pregnancy. It has to do with phony therapy, abuse that was faked, and a cast member threatening to set everything on fire. Remain locked due to this.